Hi, and welcome to Wisdom Wednesday, everyday wisdom from extraordinary people. I'm Alexis Pierce, and today I'm really excited to have Mike Iamele with us. He was our first visitor on the podcast, and it's fantastic. Thank you to have him back again. He's an author, he's a speaker, he's a clinical herbalist, and more importantly, he's a sacred branding and business coach for spiritual entrepreneurs and healers. Tell us more about the work you do.
Yeah, thank you, Alexis. Well, first of all, thank you for having me. It's always an honor and a pleasure to talk to you. But the work that I do really is I help spiritual entrepreneurs and business owners and healers turn their life purpose into a sustainable business. So we really figure out what is your purpose, who are you in this world, and how you can just let that be enough to make money. That is, in fact, the most sacred thing you actually can do. So, of course, you deserve to be compensated heavily for it.
Yeah. Well, if you've taken a course with me or read a bunch of my blogs, I talk about Mike a lot because his concept of brand themes and thinking and sort of focusing in on the ways that you want your audience to feel and the ways you want to feel in your work have really transformed the way that I go about my work. But more than that, he has a system that he teaches, like where you take these words or these feelings and they encompass certain ways that we show up in the world. Can you tell us more about those?
Totally. So I call them brand energies, and really they're just the lens through which we interpret and look at life. So we can think of, yes, we are all one, we're all part of the divine, but we have split off into unique aspects of the universe to learn specific lessons, and we can call those souls, unique souls. And what I'm really interested in looking at is the themes, as you mentioned, the brand themes of those unique souls. So it's a little bit of a complicated process, but I can walk you through actually how to do it for yourself. Would that be helpful?
Sure.
Okay, cool. So this is actually just the first energy that I work with. I call it the discover energy. And all we're doing is we're shining a light on things. So we can think of it as the sunlight, as light energy in general. It's not that the things weren't there already, but when we shine light on them, we actually give them new meaning, or we can conceptualize them deeper. So we can think of this energy, we first encounter it if a child learns the word frustrated. It's not that the child has never been frustrated before, but now that it has language and a way to conceptualize this, it can shine greater light onto this energy.
Yeah.
And so our soul has always known its purpose. Of course, we are born with our purpose. We have this underlying vibration that we really carry with us. But we don't always remember how to stay on that purpose at all times. We know when we're on, we know when we're off, but how do we navigate back? And so what I help people do is really create those brand energies. They're themes for how to stay on your purpose. And so the first thing I always recommend people do is just think about what you want to heal in yourself through your business. Why are you even in business in the first place? And the first thing people love to do at this point is say, oh, I want to help people. I want to make a difference in the world. And that's great. That's absolutely beautiful. There are so many heart-centered people, and I love them. But what are you getting out of it? It's great to externalize it. We are so good at putting energy out there. But what do we get from that? What happens when I can make a person laugh? Or when I can make a person inspired? Or when I can make a person feel meaningful? What do I get? Do I feel on my purpose? Do I feel connected? Do I feel aligned? Do I feel worthy? Do I feel successful? What happens to me? And what's happening is we're going to begin to realize what we get out of different situations.
Yeah.
Next, I love to ask people, okay, as we're going through this, start to think about any themes or patterns that have emerged throughout your life. So maybe since childhood, maybe some early wounds we have, is there a lesson that feels like it keeps coming up again and again and again? This could be things like always wanting to be seen, things like always wanting to be loved or feel worthy or be enough or whatever it is. And we're just doing this as fact-finding, so no pressure. We're just kind of putting the information out there. Then we want to now externalize it a little bit. We want to look at our audience, and we're going to see ourselves reflected in our audience. So we can think of our favorite person we've ever worked with. If we can think of, that person, yes, working with them, that was my life purpose. That was so much fun. Or if we don't have that person, and it doesn't have to be in a professional capacity, it could totally be friends, family, whatever. If we don't have that person, we can call forth an energy of a hypothetical that we really think we would like, and start talking about them. Start anywhere. We can say, well, the energy feels more masculine than feminine, or the energy feels really young, maybe like 20-something, or the energy feels not supported enough. And as we dig deeper and deeper and deeper into that energy, we're actually refining an image. It's an image of resonance, which means we're reflecting ourselves into it. So we define resonance not just as attraction, which many of us notice, like, oh, I resonate with that, I really like it, but also reaction and healing. So if we're triggered by something, or if we feel called to heal it in ourselves or in the world, those are all ways that our soul is recognizing itself externally. Once we package that up, we now have some beautiful, beautiful information. Put that aside for a moment. Second thing we want to do is look at context. These are the energetic lines that we draw to people, places, situations in our life. We know that nothing happens in a vacuum. You know, if you call yourself a life coach, you are now energetically connected to everyone who's ever used that term. Some of those people we're going to resonate with, some not so much. So we want to be really conscious of where we're drawing those lines. So I always recommend that people create some language to create a container for the work they feel called to do in the world. It does not have to be literal. In most cases, it is not literal. So this could be, you know, I've had an energy healer say, oh, I'm a connector, Mike. I connect people to themselves, to each other, to the divine, to their healing.
Yeah.
I've had people say, I'm an initiator, I'm an activator, I'm a lightning transformer. I mean, people can go far and wide. We can add 10 terms together. It doesn't matter. All we're doing is creating a container energetically. Once we've got this beautiful container built, we want to think about people who we also feel might be this in the world and whom we resonate with.
Yeah.
So it could be Oprah, it could be a friend, it could be a business colleague, it could be a client, doesn't matter. And what about that person do we resonate with? What we're actually looking for is where we see ourselves reflected into them. Then we can go down into people we don't resonate with, who we might consider in this container, and start to look at what we don't resonate with about them. And there we can start to see some of the energies in shadow form. And finally, we want to ask ourselves, what does our energy feel like? Are we fun and goofy and playful and energized? Are we loving and caring and supportive? Are we transformative and deep? You know, what does our energy feel like? Are we honest? Are we authentic? What is it? Now we've got amazing, amazing information. Once we've got all this information, this part is really, really easy. I know it sounds complicated, but this part gets really easy. We want to tune in and imagine that this person is walking into our office. We are working with this ideal person, and they are transformed. I mean, oh my God, like best session, best case scenario here. What do they feel right now? And as we list off things, very quickly, we go back to the audience work. What did we want to feel? Did we want to feel worthy? So do they feel worthy right now? Did we want to feel seen? Do they feel seen right now? Did we want to feel safe? Do they feel safe right now? We go into their energetic profile. You know, if they're not feeling supported all the time, maybe they want to feel supported. If they're feeling overwhelmed or frustrated, maybe they want to feel relieved or relaxed. It becomes very, very easy. Again, we close our eyes, tune back in. Imagine this person came in. Imagine we made them feel all of these things. They're feeling empowered and alive and excited and energized. And they run out to grab coffee with a girlfriend. And they say, oh my God, you've got to go to Mike. He is so, his work is so. What do they say? How do they describe you and your work? Now, in the beginning, we found the who, what, and why of your purpose. Context is teaching us all about the how you do things. Mike is so authentic. He's so life-changing. He's so visionary. So we can list anything we want. Then we go right back to that context column, and we see, okay, the people I resonate with, here's what they're described as. Would they call me these things? The people I don't resonate with, here's what they're described as the opposite of them, things that I want them to call me. What does my energy feel like? Are these things they would call me? Now we might have a list of 100 words, like a really, really, really big list, right? We want to tune back in and imagine that it's not this one client we're working with anymore. It's a practice filled to the capacity we want. It's a huge, huge practice, and all of these amazing people are coming in, they're listening to us speak on stages, they're reading our books, they're doing whatever, they're feeling all these things. They're raving about us in all these ways. They're calling us life-changing, transformative, powerful, magical, exciting, vibrant, zany, vulnerable. In fact, the media is calling us these things. The media is telling everyone that we are this brilliant, beautiful soul, that we are vulnerable with a splash of playfulness, that we are whatever. And as we feel what this is happening, how do we now feel about our business?
Yeah.
I have never, in over 300 of these sessions, both in group and one-on-one, never had someone come up with more than 10 words that wasn't already on their list. Because by the magic of the process, we've been talking about you the whole time. And everything you've ever wanted to feel is now there in 100 words. or more, and we will pack all that energy down without losing a thing into 5 or 6 words. And it's really important that we go through this really complicated process, which may feel convoluted at times, but it's very important because if we just say in this moment, I want to feel vulnerable and aligned and free, that's wonderful. But I have no understanding, is that in this moment where my ego is in the present moment, or is that something that transcends time and space? Is that something that has been consistent all throughout life? And it's very, very difficult for us to make that distinction. And so, to know, do we want it because it's outside of us, or do we want it because it's inside of us? And
Right.
if we do this work, it allows us to make sure that we haven't lost a thing. And 99% of the time, almost all of the words are words we would never expect to be there. And so that's really part of the magic of this process, is that, we're not thinking and intellectualizing it. We're actually feeling our way into our soul. And we now have mantras, which quite frankly, I don't give it what the words are. Because Sally, Bob, and Jim, and that's cool, as long as there's a mantra to bring you back to those 100 and then even infinite words that will remind you of who you truly are.
Yeah. Well, and what I love about this process, so if you're listening, I want you to listen to this entire podcast and then go back and go through the exercise that Mike was talking about, because I want you to really get grounded in everything that we're going to say, and then go back and start to lead yourself through it. But what I want to reflect here, one of the reasons that I resonate so strongly with you, Mike, is that my work is based in your vision. And it's the same idea that we have what we need inside of us. And so even when it comes to success or it comes to failure, it's based on how we've set ourselves up to feel in the world and feel about ourselves. And when we get really clear, and I love that you use the word discover, but when we put words to things that our soul sees or our soul feels or our soul knows, and we can actually now have an intellectual conversation with these sensations or knowingness, because it's more of a knowingness, then we can actually move ourselves deliberately in a certain direction. And that deliberate action feels good. It doesn't mean it's going to be easy, but it feels good because we release ourselves from thinking that everything's by chance or it's by randomness based on something that's gifted to us or bequeathed on us by magic. We actually do have a say in it. And that to me is so empowering, because you get to determine how you feel in your life, but you also get to know that you're okay and that you're going to be okay because it's all in you to start with.
Well, I love what you're saying, Alexis. And for me, what's so powerful, and most people tell me once they get the words, especially in a sacred branding session with me, which is what I call me doing discover for someone or with someone, is that they feel like they've just come home.
Yeah.
Because really in homecoming, it's no longer looking outside of yourself for who you are or what you want to create in the world, but it's just allowing yourself to know you've already got it, and you always have. This is the crazy thing about life purpose. We talk about it like it's this tangible end result, like we're moving this marathon towards it, and actually we've always had it in us. If we can't escape these vibrations, if they're the core vibrations of our being, then that means that everything in our life is on some level on purpose. We are always on our purpose, and we can see that as either light or shadow form. So it's not always the light side. Sometimes it's the exact opposite of what we want. But even that is part of the same vibration. We are always connected to our purpose, and we're just learning how to align with it and live on the light side if we choose. And I really want to stress that in my work, there's absolutely no judgment. It's even difficult sometimes for me to grasp this non-judgmental place, because our ego mind loves to attach to it and make these decisions. And that is useful. There's definitely use to having a judgment and to knowing where we want to go and where we don't want to go, but understanding that we've created that judgment, that in the universe that doesn't exist. If I am successful, then I am everything successful and unsuccessful at the same time. I'm all of it. And so I call this the lens through which we look at life or interpret life, because I can only see the world through the lens of my words. Those words help me interpret everything that's happening for me, because my soul is always attracting in the person, places, and situations of these words, because it's who I am. So I'm just attracting in. And if we are on the light side, or the kind of positive side, we might call it, then we're in the flow. Things come to us abundantly and effortlessly. If we're on the shadow side, we're really on what I call the learning side, right? We're kind of saying, hey, universe, I don't know how to totally live in alignment yet, so keep giving me lessons so I can keep learning it. And there's no judgment about that. We can learn lessons as much as we want. There's no start or no stop. It's not like I'm going to one day be the most figured out person in the world. I'm always continuing to evolve deeper into my energies. And that's, for me, a really empowering thought.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's what I love about all of the work that both of us do, is that it's gifting people themselves. Because so many of us feel stuck or confused or paralyzed in many ways to move forward. And at least my experience with myself and with clients is that paralysis is it's a judgment. It's thinking, okay, I do know what I want, but I'm not willing to admit it. I do know what I want, but I'm not willing to accept the consequences of making that decision. I do know what I want, but so is not going to like it.
Mm-hmm.
And to have that gift given back to you of, you do know how you want to feel. You know why you're here. We can give it words, and it can help you. What I think is organize your life. So all of a sudden, your memories that may have seemed traumatic have a meaning. They fit into a context because you now understand what you're working on a deeper level. And that to release that baggage and realize all of that was useful in a way, that it's not just something that traumatized you have to get over, or you're never going to be able to move beyond. You can actually say, oh, that was for a purpose. This is what I got out of it. This is how it fits with everything I'm doing. And that gives me the strength to then focus on what we're saying is the light side of something, that I've gone through this shadow side. I've gone through this painful piece. So now I understand how to transition to the light side.
Everything you're saying, yes. And I always love to tell people, for me, it kind of reminds me of reading a murder mystery novel, right? Like, the clues are all there. Every step of the way was needed, but it only makes sense at the very end. And I think so often we're like, oh my God, it's a random seeming of events. Like, nothing seems to make sense for me. And that's actually not true. Everything is on purpose. If we can't escape our purpose, then our purpose, our meaning is in every moment of our lives. And even the most traumatic, and we all have trauma, even the most traumatic, we can go back there and look and say, wait a minute, in the context of my work, with these words, I can see what was really happening there. I can see what lessons I was calling forth so that I could learn more about this energy. Because energy is not good or bad. We're putting that judgment on it, but energy is just energy. And we're deciding if it's light or shadow energy, but ultimately we're just going deeper and deeper. We're kind of kids in the playground playing with these 5 or 6 tools. They're just our energies, and we can turn them right side up or upside down. We can do whatever we want with them. And that's kind of exactly what we're doing in the world.
Yeah. Yeah, I want to give a really easy example here in case people are going, what are you two talking about? But one of the examples that really helps me is, somebody walks in the room and you immediately know how you feel about them. Or you're and you don't know, maybe they're in a bad mood, maybe they're this, but you just get a gut reaction to the person. And that's sort of what we're talking about, is that we all carry a vibration or an energy, or what we could determine or call your purpose, and then put it into 1 or 2 words. Like, we carry that with us all the time. So I think about my grandmother, and my vision of my grandmother, for whatever reason, is, standing in her kitchen, looking out the window, washing dishes. And in that vision, I feel peaceful even thinking about her. Mm-hmm. But my vision isn't of my grandmother brokering peace. It's not like doing anything particularly peaceful. In fact, she may have been in a bad mood, but my emotional memory of her is peace. And that's the same thing. You think of somebody else, and your emotional memory of them is, oh, I just always feel great around them. And they could be the most insecure, confused person, but you feel great about them. So that says something about that life purpose that they're fulfilling. It could be that they're there to help you feel okay, or that they're there to just embody peace in the world, or that you feel so inspired by somebody and you just want to run off and take a trip. Like, maybe their life purpose is around freedom and empowerment. So we get these feelings off of other people, but that means you do it too. And you have it too. You're embodying it. So you can look at, just as a sort of fun game, you can look at the things that people have said about you. I always feel so happy around you, or I always feel so calm around you. I mean, people say these things to us all the time, but we tend to blow them off because we usually feel the opposite, because we're in the disaster zone on the inside sometimes. So think about some of those hints you may have gotten from your family or friends, or even strangers.
I love that suggestion, Alexis, because, from the standpoint of my work, if you can't escape your purpose, that means that it's your gift that you're sharing with the world all the time. It's your energy medicine. And this really brings us to an important point. Because most people say to me, oh my God, Mike, don't worry, I figured it out. My life purpose is being a life coach. And that's great, and I honor you, and I'm not gonna, tell you that your intuition is wrong, but that's putting a lot of eggs in one basket. That's a lot of pressure on being a life coach. What if you change your mind one day? What if it doesn't work out for you? What if it, isn't financially viable, or whatever it is? There's a lot of pressure on that one container. It's a container for energy. And everything we do, from our relationships to our work to, the way we laugh and dance and play, these are all containers for energy, but it's the energy that we're actually transmitting. And that's our energy medicine. And so, in the case of your grandmother, she was always transmitting peace, even if maybe she didn't feel peace for herself. And that's totally cool, because that's the judgment part, right? Like, we're deciding, do I feel in the light or shadow form? But she's, no matter what she's doing, even in her worst mood, she's still sharing that energy, because it's who she truly is. She cannot stop sharing that energy. And that makes it so easy, right? Like, how easy is it to start a business and make a business viable and thriving if all you have to do is be yourself? You can't not be yourself. And if we look across the board, I've had clients who are, they come to me and say, Mike, I am all over the place. It doesn't make sense. I've been a sign language interpreter. I've been a ESL teacher. I've been an energy healer. Like, does not make sense. And as we look for not those containers, but what's the energy being transmitted, one major energy there was connection, giving people a voice and helping them to connect. And that was such a powerful way to shift for this one client, because she began to realize that actually her soul is choosing containers that are most helpful for communicating the energy, but it's the energy medicine that actually is her purpose underneath.
Right. For the people who are listening who are familiar with my language, let me just translate that into terms that you may have heard me use. So I talk about your purpose and coming from your vision, and that we can get clear on your purpose, but that the ways that you choose to express your purpose, or the tactics in military language, are not your purpose itself. So you can have a life purpose to help encourage people and inspire them to live their artistic and creative expression. Something very like big and vague like that. And that can show up as being a kindergarten teacher. It can show up as being a landscaper. It can show up 20 years from now as being a person who likes to read books. Like, the way that you choose to express your vision and your purpose are not the vision and the purpose itself. They're your tools to get it out into the world. So not to get confused there. Because we have these amazing energies moving through. And I love the word container. I think that's a great way to think about it, especially if you're not a military buff like I am. Well, thank you so much for this conversation. And for people listening, Mike, can you share some about your sacred circles and sacred branding circles that you offer? I know you're about to lead one live. I've gone through one live with you before. You also have the self-study. It's transformational work, and I highly recommend it. Having gone through it myself, and I continue to work with Mike, absolutely transformational. So can you tell us more about the process?
Of course, yeah. So the Sacred Circles are a 5-week or 5-module, if you're doing it self-paced, energetic powerhouse, basically. And so what we talked about so far is actually only week 1 or the first module. And that's the Discover Energy. The next module or energy you go through, and each of these modules will have energetic activation to help you kind of open up to the energy, mindset shifting content, about an hour each, a grounding meditation for when you're finished with it, and worksheets each with an audio guide to help me support you through it. So there's a little bit of energetic attunement and a little bit of mindset shift, and then some real implementation work. And the Discover Energy is all about finding your words. We then move into the Create Energy, which is all about the archetypal fire energy. So it's the first time that light is manifested on this plane. And that's like this fun, childlike energy. It's not like what we want to do because we feel like we have to. It's kind of this fun energy, like I'm sitting on the couch, I'm like, oh my God, wouldn't it would be so fun? What if I created this program right now? Like, it's this really fun, childlike, it's a masculine form of our Discover Energy. How are we going to share it, put it out, make it real? We talk about metaphors and Pinocchio. It gets really fun and crazy that week. It's a blast. And then we move into our value energy. And that's really the how do we receive? We confuse the outward and inward all the time. We think, well, if I work hard, I'm going to be successful. And we're actually talking about two different things. One's putting energy out, and one's bringing energy back in. And so often we just assume that the masculine is going to enable the feminine. If I do, I'm going to receive. And that's not necessarily true. We know this, right? Like if you save up all your money and buy this really expensive house in the water, there's no guarantee you're going to look at the sunset and allow that to come in, right? Like, sure, you can do the part, but to actually receive is something entirely different. And so we actually look at that, and that's going to talk about money. It's going to talk about our own worth and value. It's going to talk about support. I mean, there's so much tied up in the value energy. It's probably the most resistance-filled week,
Yeah.
but also really, really powerful work. Then we actually reunite the energy. So we split them into the masculine and feminine, and we reunite them and express. And the way that we become whole again is through the stories we tell, both internally and externally. So this is all about the way we express ourselves. We can think of this as the air energy, and value is the water energy. So we can think of this as the air energy, and it's really the fire and water coming back together. And we start to reclaim our old stories. So wounds, trauma, old stories. We begin to do soul retrieval work, very shamanic healings. And it's really fun and easy. We use fairy tales. And if you don't like it, you tell me that your life has been a horror movie. We can use horror movies too. That works just as well. It's really, really fun. And then it's really powerful because now that we have our power back in our stories, we can now create a PR and marketing plan and really communicate outwardly from a much more empowered place. And it is remarkable at what happens at that week. And finally, the heal week is the earth energy. And we notice that here on earth, we have the light, the fire, the water, and the air energy. It's already all here because we are here to be incarnated. And this energy is really about bringing this not just in your business, but into your personal life, how to become the walking god or goddess of your energies, being the god of success and vulnerability and freedom and all of these other things that you truly are, because in truth, you are just an incarnated version of those energies. And, just like your grandmother, Alexis, you told us, you are giving them off so strongly that you can be walking on the street and people can feel peace just passing you because you can be so embodied as these energies. And we really do some powerful work on how to shift into that place so that, on a practical level, if your new offering isn't selling, how to do certain rituals to immediately shift your energy and attract back in. Because when you are in alignment with the light side, you attract in abundance effortlessly and infinitely all the time. And so really, really, really powerful work. And these are all self-studies, so you're welcome to, at any point, do them. However, every once in a while, I love to do some live versions.
Yeah.
And this coming Monday, I'm going to be running a live version right in the middle, so the highest point of the eclipse season, and the day after the spring equinox. So it's going to be a really powerful time, extra energetic activations, really powerful shifting time. And I'm excited to get to journey live with people and offer some extra calls and support. And we have mastermind and Q&A calls. And it's a great group of people, some of whom have been journeying for over 6 months through this work. I personally do it every month. So it has changed my life.
Yeah.
Every way possible.
It absolutely has. I can attest to that, having seen the before and after. It has changed your life in every possible way. So everybody who's listening, you need to check this out. Whether you end up signing or not, you actually do need to go and check this out, because just reading this will start to free up some things for you. And then you can listen back to this call or watch the video again and go through it. So Mike, tell us where we can go and find more about this.
Absolutely. So you can jump on to sacredmastermind.com. And that's the main site for both my circles and my mastermind. Now you're going to want to click onto the Sacred Circle link so that you can get directed right over to the circle, which is actually a prerequisite for the masterminds. And
right.
So jump on there. Again, it's a self-study. So even if you can't catch us this live time, you can sign up, do it self-paced, and we will catch you at another live version eventually. And of course, anybody who purchases has lifetime access to any of the circles, any of the self-study and any of the live versions that we do.
That's wonderful. Yeah, and the live's worth it to be able to ask you questions and interact with you and the group, and to feel that energy moving through. We've been talking all about energy, and to come together in that space and have so many people sharing in that experience, it's really powerful.
The group is just, they blow me away. They have really transformed the way that I even view this work, and moving through money blocks, sexual trauma. There's just been so much in that group. So it's really an honor to be able to not just lead them, but actually be a member of the group as well.
Yeah, wonderful. Oh, well, thank you so much. You've given us more than we could possibly chew through today. So we'll have to go back. If you are watching, listening, definitely go back and watch and listen again just to pull out some additional nuggets. Head over to sacredmastermind.com. Check out the Sacred Circle. Again, the live version is launching March 21st?
21st,
21st,
that's
is
right.
that the date? March 21st, that's next week. And then there's also the self-study version, and then you can catch a live one at any point. So thank you so much for being here, Mike.
No, thank you so much for having me. It's always an honor, Alexis.